In business ownership, there's a time to be nice. There's a time to walk softly and carry a big stick. But there's also a time to be ruthless. There's also a time when it's necessary for you to sharpen your teeth and sink them into the competition. There's a time for you to command your seat at the table. So how do you do it? Stay tuned to Man of the Free. Uncle Luke going to show you the way. What's up, team? Big Luke here, Man of the Free. Freedom of mind, money, and media, where the big guy brings you free value to help you become free in your life and livelihood. That's starting to sound like a catchphrase, isn't it, Ruben?
It is.
I like it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today to talk about commanding your place at the table. Now, you could take that at face value, and you could think we're going to bring you an episode about how to shove Cousin Jimmy aside so you can get to the potatoes and gravy first. Or you could remember that this is a part of the Man of the Free Small Business series, where I am doing my damnedest to bring those of you who are entrepreneurial at heart, those of you who want to kind of bust through the ceiling of the 9-to-5 job, those of you who want to be your own boss, don't want to work for somebody anymore. You've had visions and dreams of starting your own business, being your own boss, paving your own way for your family, and very possible. It's easier than most people think, but it requires a certain set of brass cojones that a lot of people don't have, or cojonitas for the ladies. It requires a certain mindset that is difficult for some people to get into, okay? That mindset is the mindset of somebody who feels as though they deserve to be there, okay? So when I say command my place at the table, or you need to command your place at the table is the marketplace. The table is business. And unless you have a deep-seated knowing that you belong there and you deserve to be there, and you should be there getting a piece of the pie, just like everybody else who is doing so, until you have that, until you believe that, until you know that, that high level of success is never going to come, okay? Why am I doing this episode? I speak on experience, okay? And every time I bring an episode to you folks, I talk about personal experiences in my life, how they've applied to the topic at hand, and why we're talking about them. So the other night in my gym, and in my gym is where I do the majority of my thinking, okay? The other night in my gym, as I'm working out on my big TV on the wall, I'm letting the movie Pumping Iron play. And for those of you who are not into bodybuilding or don't like to throw weights around, Pumping Iron is an old film, old, almost black and white, produced in 1975 by a guy named Joe Weider. And I don't know the age group of all of you, but for those of you who are, let's say, 35 plus, you've probably seen a Weider weight bench or a weightlifting poster in your lifetime. He was kind of an institution in weightlifting and bodybuilding back anywhere from 1970 through really the year 2000, okay? In this movie, there's, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Franco Columbu, all those classic golden era bodybuilders. There's a guy by the name of Mike Katz, okay? Mike Katz is just kind of your big, goofy, dumb oaf, okay? He's the kind of guy that's just nice to everybody. He's a tree of a man, 6'2", 6'3", 250, 60, 70 pounds in the off season, 240 pounds on stage. And if you threw me in a dryer for about 15 minutes too long, you'd have Mike Katz, okay? And Mike Katz in this movie exudes these attributes of somebody who just kind of happy to be here, just really enjoys the scene, enjoys bodybuilding, likes the fact he's a big guy. And when he goes out on stage, the crowd goes absolutely bonkers for this guy, right? All the other competitors, even the ones who defeat him, don't get the type of applause and camaraderie that Mike Katz does. Why is this? It's because Mike Katz doesn't realize it, but he's actually a better bodybuilder than the guys that are winning, okay? There's a lot of politics in bodybuilding, and we don't need to go down that road. But what you need to understand is it's not always the guy that has the biggest muscles and looks the best that goes home with the trophy. And in this movie, they depict this guy, Mike Katz, as this big, nice, oafy bodybuilder. But what I saw somebody who was not commanding his place at the table. What I saw was a guy that was putting in more work than anybody else. I saw a guy that looked better than the rest of them. I saw a guy that was bigger and stronger than the men that got Mr. Universe and second and third in front of him. Mike Katz placed fourth in 1975, and he should have won. So Ruben's going to play you a little clip to help you understand exactly what I'm talking about here. Bear in mind, this guy, ruthless work ethic, gym in his home, special trainer, special diet, constantly with his eye on the prize, lives, eats, breathes, sleeps bodybuilding. Yet he gets beat out by a guy who kind of half-asses it, has some natural talent, but is the more political and, I guess, well-liked by the judges bodybuilder, Mike Waller. Okay? And it's not Mike Waller, it's something Waller. Ruben, I forgot his first name. You remember? It's not important. Guy's name's Waller. You'll see it in the clip. And what Waller's done is Waller's taken Katz's t-shirt. He's hidden it on him. He's fucked with him in the pump-up room. He's just playing mind games. And this guy Katz, he's just not vicious. He's just not wrapping his head around the fact that the forces that be are fucking with him. And he should just go out there and take a bite out of the competition and viciously and ruthlessly claim his place on that stage. Instead, when he hears his competitors winning over the top of him, he politely claps his hands and talks about how wonderful it is and that he should go shake his hand. Meanwhile, remembering that he still needs to go get his t-shirt from the same guy that beat him, won, also pranked him. Ruben's going to play this clip. You guys will see what I mean. Roll clip.
And the winner of the 1975 Tallman category from the United States of America, Ken Waller.
Kenny won. Great. Terrific. How about that? Boy, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Can imagine how he must feel? Incredible. It's probably like I did when I was 16 and won my first trophy. In its own way, it's probably just as satisfying. I gotta go shake his hand. That's fantastic. Great. You get my t-shirt.
Ken fucking Waller, by the way. And you guys see what I mean, right? The guy's a tree of a man. He's a monster. He's twice the guy's size, okay? Now, Waller's got a good physique. He's cut and tore up, but just that sheer muscle mass and crowd favorite, it wasn't there. You look at Arnold Schwarzenegger in that same time frame, and you look at Katz, you see similarities. You then see Waller and compare him to the guys that won open bodybuilding at the Olympia, and there's just no comparison. He should have been in a classic physique competition, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you guys is that was my inspiration for this episode. I sat there in that moment, and I texted Ruben, and I said, dude, we got to do an episode about claiming your fucking place at the table. Just being aggressive, knowing that you deserve to be there, knowing what you're capable of, knowing that other people don't have any more right to be there than you. That's why we decided to do this episode, okay? When I watched that episode, or excuse me, that movie, and I watched that clip, it reminded me of times where I had missed opportunities. It reminded me of times early in my career when I had seen situations where there was money to be made, there was a bid to be won, there was a car to be sold, and I just didn't really put forth the effort. I didn't really insert myself in and try to compete because I didn't believe I was worthy. I was like, I'm the new guy. That's for the seasoned vets, right? Well, I'll back off that car and I won't bid on it because I see the top 3 local competitors they've been at this way longer than me. They're all on it. So there's probably no way I would pay as much as them. So I'm just going to let them hash it out. I'll go over here and look at the secondhand merchandise. Fuck that. Biggest mistakes I made in the early part of my career. Because you know what I later found out? These guys did not hold a candle to my work ethic. Their gross margins were nowhere near mine. They didn't have a business plan in place that was anywhere near emulating the level of effort that I had put in. And these guys were just there going through the motions. If I had stepped in and inserted myself earlier on, we would have been much more prevalent and much more relevant much more quickly. You see, I had spent the majority of my life believing that other people who were in higher places and achieving greater things were built differently than me, okay? When I was in high school playing football, I would see the guys that would just run out there full speed and fucking level somebody. I mean, just put their lights out, pop their helmet off, knock their mouth guard out of their mouth. And I think to myself, man, one day I'm going to do that and make the highlight reel. And I remember My cousin said to me one day when he came to watch one of my games, he's like, yo, man, how come you don't knock him out like that? Bro, you're faster than that guy. You're just as big. You hit harder. Why aren't you out there just pancaking people on kick return, bro? And I went and thought about it in the locker room at halftime. And I was like, you know what? He's got a point. I am just as big. I'm actually faster. I'm actually slightly bigger. What is it? And then I went to that person and I was like, hey, man, what does it take? Like, what are you thinking when you're going to hit them? I don't know. I never really thought about it. I just run at him and I hit him. And in that moment, I said to myself, well, maybe I'm overthinking this. So after halftime, I went out on the field. I hauled ass right directly into my man halfway down the field, and I put him out of the game. Broke the snap on his helmet, bent the front of his face mask, and got what was called the Hammer Award. At my school, that was the hardest hit of the week. Mind you, I was a quarterback, okay? So a shift in mindset is sometimes all it takes. It takes a moment of clarity where you realize, holy shit, maybe I do deserve this, okay? But we're gonna talk for a moment of why it's so important. Why are we even talking about this, right? I think at this point, you've probably got a grasp for where I'm going with this, okay? And when you're in business, what you need to understand is that your competitors are just as scared as you, okay? For the most part. What do I mean by that? So if you're anything like me, okay, and in some way, to some attribute, I think we kind of all go through this at the beginning of business ownership, right? It's unfamiliar territory. We're testing the water. We've never done this before. We may have experience in the trade. We may have experience with the product, but we've never really gone there, okay? And it's intimidating. Guys, look at the size of me, all right? I walk into a room, I command respect. And it's just because of what I've built. It's not because I behave that way. It's not because I walk in the room and I say, fuck you, get out of my way, give me your lunch money. Although, I don't know, it might not be a bad idea. Money's tight sometimes. Kidding. I don't behave in a way that would make people believe that I command that from them, but it just happens that way. Because I walk through the door 6'4", 280 pounds. I'm a tree of a man, okay? I've created a physique that, as you can see, is relatively intimidating to the average human being. Now, there's those of you out there saying, oh, fucking muscles don't scare me. Right, sure. Yeah, no, I'm sure they don't, right? And there's people out there saying, yeah, if I did fucking steroids, I could be that big too. Sure, get you some steroids and get that big. But what you need to understand is that this provides me the ability to command respect from a visual aspect, okay? Spoiler alert, I wasn't always this big. I behaved this way before I became 280 pounds, okay? At the beginning of my business ownership, I was an athletic, sizable guy, but I didn't look like this. So what I'm talking about has nothing to do with my physical appearance. What I'm talking about has to do with putting out a level of confidence that may not even be there. What do I mean by that, okay? You ever heard the expression, fake it till you make it, okay? The context that that expression is usually used in is more of a bullshit, okay? For instance, you're going out with a girl, put on a sterling silver chain, tell her it's white gold, put on Walmart earrings, tell her they're diamonds, and fake it till you make it, okay? That's not what I mean when I say fake it till you make it. What I mean is you walk into a room, let's say you're a contractor, all right? And there's 11 different contractors or companies that are about to bid a housing tract. Every house in the tract needs framing, needs foundation, needs roofs. That's it. They've got plumbing, electrical, and finish work figured out. You need to get in there and you need to do the basic skeleton of the house, okay? Now, you've framed before, but you haven't framed 60 houses. You've laid concrete before, but you've never done foundations, okay? You can get the job done and you know this, but you pussyfoot around, okay? You walk in there and you kind of, hey guys, how you doing? How are you? Good, I'm Steve. Yep, okay. Yeah, and then you start talking, you start negotiating, you start putting in your bid, and you're just kind of one of the guys that's there, okay? There's nothing remarkable about that, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, there are people in business who will take a higher bid. Matter of fact, this is the majority of the time. Talk to a seasoned pro and they'll tell you, the majority of the time, the person who is the comptroller or the person who's in charge of accepting the bids, they're going to take the bid from the guy that they believe is the most capable at a reasonable price, okay? If you're taking notes, write that down. Most capable at a reasonable price. They're not going to take the guy that looks most capable at double the money. It's just not good business. You can't justify that. Somebody else in the 16 is capable, okay? But what they're going to do is they're going to find the guy that looks confident. They're going to find the guy that when they say, hey, have you ever done this before? Yeah. I mean, honestly, guys, this is cake work. I've done concrete. I've done framing. All of it. Yeah. Why? I wouldn't be here if I didn't. Oh, okay. We're just curious. We know you guys are a newer company. Mr. Jones, you can be 10 years old and do 1 housing tract a year and have 10 housing tracts under your belt. Or you can be 1 year old and do 2 every month. Who's got more experience? All right, man, no problem. I wasn't trying to offend you. Didn't offend me, sir. But let's move past that. We got to talk money. I need this job, okay? And we're going to do it for you, and we're going to do it the best. But what I need you to understand is that we're not going to be the cheapest, sir. And when you're building houses where people are going to pay rent and potentially sue you if things break or black mold creeps in, not going to say anything bad about my competitors because I'm a professional, but I'm just going to let you know there's certain work that needs to be done by the most capable bodies. And, well, sir, I'm not the cheapest for a reason. So here's my bid. I wish you nothing but the best. I look forward to talking to you in about a week. That's it. That's a high level of confidence. No untruths were told. You didn't say, yes, I've poured 35 foundations year to date. You didn't say, well, actually, we just finished the Ryan Homes development down the road. You didn't do any of that. You answered the question, in a concise fashion with verbiage that alluded to maybe a little more than was there, but you allow his mind to go there. You don't take it there, okay? But you say it with a level of confidence that lets that person, him or her, understand that you're the guy for the job. And not only are you telling him or her this, you know it. It's very obvious you know it. And then you spin off. I got shit to do, man, okay? You exude confidence. Your customer likes confidence. Guys, let me explain something to you. Confidence coming from the vendor or the salesperson or the dispatcher, whoever is bringing the product to the consumer. Confidence from that person going towards the person who's writing the check or swiping the card or handing over the cash. Confidence makes them feel safe. It makes them feel cozy, okay? You get in a taxi cab in New York City, and the person says, hey, how you doing? Where to? You go, oh, take me down to Chinatown. Okay, do you got Google Maps on your phone? Yeah, why? Well, because I think Chinatown is north, but I don't know. Rush hour traffic has me all screwed up. Yo, man, you're in a taxi. Haven't you ever done this before? Yeah, no, I'm like, yeah, for a couple weeks, but like I'm still really new to New York. And I mean, look at it, it's freaking crazy busy here. So just pull up your Google Maps and just do me a favor, hold it up so I can see it in the rear view. They're going to hear the sound of a clicking door latch because that person is out of the car faster than you can say fucking SpaghettiOs, okay? Now, you get in the car and it stinks like weed, okay? There's some shady looking character behind the steering wheel with his arm around the passenger headrest, cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and a questionable, at best, red Solo cup in the cup holder with those little cubes that look like they came from the convenience store. And you get in the car and you say, hey man, hey, how you doing? Good. Can you get me to Chinatown? I'm going to get you there, man. How fast you want to go? Fast, and you're already off and going, okay? But you're still in the car. Why? Because that shady, questionable, curious character is confident. And you know he or she has the capability of getting you where you need to go. So you might even deal with a little discomfort to get there. You might even deal with paying a little too much because it might be that cab driver, like the one I always used to come across, where it would go like 7 different patterns that were completely unnecessary, kind of like an old Family Circus cartoon, you know, to the vet, over to the store, back by the woodshed, back home to grab a hoodie, and then to the place that is the destination, okay? Because it racks up the meter, the fare goes up, okay? But you allow this to transpire because you're sitting back, you see the confidence in the driver, you know you're getting where you need to go, okay? That is a goofy-ass analogy, but every one of you understands exactly what I'm talking about. That's the way your customer is gonna be, okay? You come in there, commanding your place at the table, making it blatantly obvious you know what you're doing, and you're the guy or girl for the job. It's a done deal, man, okay? If you're likable, you make them feel warm and fuzzy, your price is reasonable, it's a done deal every day of the week, okay? Bottom line, you have to believe in yourself, and not only do you have to believe in yourself, but you have to believe and you have to know that your competitor has no more right to be there than you. Let me repeat that. If you're taking notes, write this down. Your competitor has no more right to be there than you. I don't care if they've got more experience. I don't care if they're bonded with more insurance. I don't care if they have more trucks. I don't care if they have a prettier fucking girlfriend. I don't care if they have the $1 billion house on the hill. I don't care if their budget is endless. It doesn't matter. He's a human being. He or she breathes the same air as you. You may not know it, but you actually may do a better job than they do. The fact of the matter is they have no more right to be there than you. And once you actually believe that, you will be a vicious, fire-breathing dragon who will not be stopped and who's going to take the biggest piece of the pie and is going to bring it home and nobody else is going to touch it. And that's how you become successful. You know, when I talk about things, I like to talk about personal experience, okay? So I'm going to take you down a little story path real quick, and it's going to be concise, so pay attention, all right? There was a time not too long ago, a few years ago, okay, where there was this beautiful fucking house that was for sale, and it was over $1 million, okay? And I was in no position to buy $1 million house, right? So as time went on, my wife and I lusted after this home. It was on the route going from my apartment to her house, and it was on the route leaving my apartment going back to her house. So we both traveled past this home many times. It was in Central New York's home of the week ad whenever it was for sale at the time. It was just fucking gorgeous, okay? One of those sinks that you could bathe a small horse in. It had, matter of fact, 2 sinks in the kitchen, big stainless steel hood, cupboards that are bigger than my fucking podcast studio, Olympic-sized lap pool house that was bigger than my first apartment, 2,200 square foot finished basement. I could go on, guys, but it's just beautiful. I mean, really a sight to behold, okay? It was the type of home that somebody like me, when I was younger, was told, you just don't, you might get lucky one day trick-or-treating and they let you peer into the lobby, but that ain't going to be you, man. That ain't going to be you. People like us don't go places like that. It just doesn't happen. That's for the rich people. That's for the wealthy. So COVID came and the car business got real good and the gym business got real bad. And come to find out, the guy that owned that house owned gyms. So we won't say he's desperate, he's a wealthy man, but it made sense at the time to dump the extra house that he wasn't even living in. Must be nice, 6,000 square foot extra house. I wouldn't mind one. So as time went on, we watched the selling price of the house, 1.2 million, 1.1 million, 1 million, 998,000, 899,000, and so on and so forth, until it got to the point where old Big Luke was really postulating on how I could possibly pull this off. Mind you, my wife knew nothing about it, okay? Fast forward several months later, I bought her the home, and it was her birthday present. And let's just say it was a good weekend for old Lukester, okay? But back it up a step. So this house is for sale, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars. 3, 4, 5 times as much as I ever thought my home would cost, okay? And that was at a massive discount because of the surrounding circumstances. So one day my wife says to me, let's go to the open house. There's an open house, babe. Let's go there. Let's see how the other half lives. She may as well have driven the sword Excalibur directly through my chest cavity, right through my chambers of my heart and out my backside and through my spine for a little extra twist. To have my wife look at me, well, my fiance at the time, look at me and say, let's go see how the other half lives. That crushed me. It destroyed me. I felt so inadequate. I felt like I was a failure. I felt like this woman that I cherished looked at me as a second-rate citizen. Oh, I love him. He's handsome. He's a sweetheart. He's got big muscles. He's a nice guy. He's an entrepreneur. He's productive. But, we're on this half. And we'll always be on this half because, I'm going to marry him. Fuck that, is what I said inside my head. And it was in that moment that I decided that I was going to command my seat at the table. Who was the guy that owned this house? Why did he deserve to live in the lap of luxury while I lived in an apartment? Why did his wife deserve to be the other half when my wife was telling me, we'll go see how the other half lives? I couldn't fucking wrap my head around it. I could not just embrace this thought that I was not capable. So I had no idea how I was going to do it. None whatsoever. I promise you, eyes to yours, hand to whoever may be up there. I had no fucking clue how I was going to pull it off, but I knew I was going to pull it off. Remember a moment ago when I told you that you need to enter the scene with the confidence of a ravenous, fire-breathing dragon, knowing full well you deserve to be there, even if you don't understand why? I'm not telling you that because it sounds good. I'm telling you that because I've been there and I've done that and it works. So we went to the open house and we looked around. And it wasn't everything I thought it would be. It was 100 times more. I stood at the top of the stairs looking over the loft and the cathedral ceilings down onto the living room below, and I saw my kids playing. I saw my dogs running. I saw my wife through the back window in the yard weeding and getting ready to go for a swim. I visualized and manifested in my mind what it looked like. So then I went down to the realtor and I started talking to the young man. I found out very shortly that the person who owned the house was his dad. And as we got talking, I found that his father and I had many similarities. We were both into bodybuilding. We were both athletic. We were both entrepreneurs. We were both in the car business. He was a gym owner, but he had investments in the car business. And there was a lot of synchronicity, almost goofy, eerie synchronicity. I made it so. Because everything he told me, I found a likeness to in my life. The salesman in me started kicking in. I started to show him how I just so very closely aligned with his father. And we had a great conversation. And by the time we were done, he'd probably tell you we was friends, okay? And as my wife went to leave, and I went to leave, I told my wife and my kid, go out to the car, I'll be right there. I forgot to say bye to Bobby. And I went back in and I said, hey, Bobby, mind you, the car business was pretty good to me that year. COVID was good to the used car business. I had a few steaks in the freezer, if you will. For those of you who don't know what I mean by that, I mean fucking money in a mattress, okay? I had some cash put aside. And I went to this young man, I said, hey, listen, seems as though y'all have been having a little bit of a hard time trying to sell this house. I think it's a little much for the area. I don't see a lot of $1 million homeowners around the central New York area, especially not around the wintertime. But here's what I'll tell you. If your father is, let's not say desperate, let's say motivated to sell, how's about I give him, and I stated some figures, this much cash, this much money per month. Tell him to hold the mortgage for me. I'll buy it from him. And he kind of thought about it for a minute. He chuckled and he goes, you're serious? I said, yeah. He goes, all right, well, yeah, okay. All right, man, well, it's nice meeting you. Have a good day. So I start walking away, no problem, you too. And I'm thinking to myself, I got to do more. There's something, I'm missing something. And then as I'm walking, I go to grab the door, I hear, hey, Luke. Yeah, Bobby. Were you really serious? Yeah, Bobby. Yeah, Bobby. In a backpack, cash, if he wants it. And I can show you that I'm capable of that much money per month, many times over. Okay, what's your cell phone number? In that moment, I was in. It was over. It was my house. I knew it. How did I know it? Because I made it so. I willed it to be so. Not in some fucking cute Fantasia crystal ball Cinderella kind of way, in the kind of way where I was going to execute until it happened. I was going to make sure there was no other variable that stood in the way for me getting that house. And I could tell a more colorful version of the story and take you through the next several weeks and months of negotiating, but the bottom line is that's where I live now. It's my house. He's long since been paid off. There is a small conventional mortgage on the property. There's plenty much equity in it, especially now that the housing market is, well, let's say, Ruben, has it recovered in central New York?
That's a good way to put it, I would say. A good use of language. I think like many places in the United States, no.
Yeah, it's about tripled in value, okay? That, and they just so happen to be putting a giant Micron microchip plant right near where I live. So that's increased the home values. And rumor has it there's a couple executives that are inbound from this microchip company that have got eyes on my house and are willing to throw stupid money offers at it to have it. Well, guys, that just puts me in a nice bargaining position, doesn't it? Because I forced my hand, because I commanded my seat at the table. Okay? Like every other episode of Man of the Free, I bring you personal experience. I talk about what I've been through, what I've done, and what I know is going to help you. Okay? This is no different. At that moment, I commanded my seat at the table. You need to command your seat at the table. You can use any verbiage, any hyperbole, any fucking vernacular that you want to. Okay? Hyperbole was the wrong word, Ruben.
It was.
It was the wrong fucking word. You could use hyperbole. Matter of fact, I'll use a super humongous, gigantic Tyrannosaurus bajillionaire hyperbole. It's hard to stay serious when you say Tyrannosaurus bajillionaire. It's really hard to stay serious, Ruben. I'm trying my best. We were getting a little too serious there for a moment, guys. A little bit of comic relief never hurt anybody. So what are the real life applications, right? You guys, you see these seasoned, experienced business pros and you say to yourself, how the hell do they get the confidence, okay? There's two pieces to that. One is experience. There is absolutely no exception for experience when it comes to business ownership or being an entrepreneur, okay? As many laps as you have under your belt, as many go-rounds as you've had doing whatever it is your business is, you're going to become increasingly more confident every time you cross the finish line, okay? But there's a second piece that will aid you in the beginning that's just as important, and that is the confidence level, okay? I've shown you in this show how operating with that vicious level of competitive confidence and not arrogance, not cockiness, but true confidence, the kind of confidence that isn't even questioned because by first glance, it's completely unshakable, okay? You need to operate with that. And when you ask yourself, how do these people that I'm competing with seem to walk like they just don't have a worry in the world, okay? It's because they've gotten to that place similar to where I'm at in the car business, which is like, okay, if the one death-dealing blow comes, the lawsuit, the customer gets hit with an icicle on my lot and dies, and they shut me down, okay? The one customer buys a car and the piston shoots through the firewall and kills them, okay? And they sue me instead of the people that built the car, because that's probably what would happen. When you're worrying about that one death blow, that one thing that'll shut you down, that worry never goes away, guys, okay? So as you're starting your process of business ownership and you have that kind of dark cloud looming like, well, all it takes is that one customer, all it takes, it really doesn't, it really can't, okay? You never hear about that one customer that shuts a business down unless that business was behaving in a nefarious way, okay? So McDonald's dealt a little bit of a too hot cup of coffee back in the, 80s or 90s,
Yep.
okay? They got sued for a whole lot of money. But you still drive through the drive-through at the Golden Arches today, don't you? Okay? There's been many a lawsuit in history. There's been many a screw-up by a CEO. Shit, there's guys getting caught with underage girls all the time, but they're still in business, okay? The fact of the matter is it takes true negligence to sink a business that is beating, that is a pulse that is beating, or that is an engine that is firing on all cylinders, okay? If you're dialed in as a business owner and things are clicking, it really takes effort to screw it up, and that's the truth, okay? Now, so you ask yourself how they operate with that confidence because they've accepted. They're not worried about that death blow anymore. They know that if it's lurking out there in the distance, that it's going to come one day. But they don't think about it daily because it's not productive. And after several years of being in business, they realize it just costs me energy and time and blood pressure to worry about if that could ever come, okay? And any business owner that is out there has dealt with that thought and worries about it and has worried about it, I promise you, okay? But the confidence that you can have in the very beginning, by simply knowing you have the Man of the Free behind you, you have a good education, and you have experiential knowledge on how to execute. Confidence, okay? You're in good shape physically. You're in the gym. You're doing cardio. You're doing some weight training. You're just a healthy person. That will give you confidence, okay? Dress nicely, okay? Dress to impress. You ever heard that? Okay? That doesn't mean leave your house with a goddamn handkerchief sticking out of your jacket pocket and a cummerbund like you're going to senior prom. What it means is look the part, okay? If you're a contractor, have khakis, a shirt tucked in, a belt buckled, your logo on your shirt, a hat with your logo, or your hair done correctly, properly shaved, okay? That first appearance is everything. When you walk up onto that bid or your customer walks into your showroom and they see a raggedy ass looking bum, they're not going to open up their wallet, okay? They see somebody who looks polished, who looks sharp, whose hygiene is on point, they're going to buy. So that can give you confidence. Your physique, your physical health, your appearance, your knowledge. If you are well researched on what it is that you do and you continue to build your portfolio of experience, every time you do a job, you have a question, you get the answer. You don't wait for someone else to figure it out. You seek out the answer and you retain it, okay? All of these things will help you build confidence, okay? Furthermore, build a portfolio. You do one job, get a testimonial. Get the customer to write up something or give you some sort of review or put a review on your Google Plus page so you start building a portfolio. As that portfolio builds, it builds steam. It's a snowball effect. You will eventually build confidence until you get to the point, like my company, where you have hundreds of 5-star reviews and customers walk through the door and they say, when you ask them, what brought you here today? They say, oh, your reviews are just phenomenal. Or if you're one of my customers, you say, well, it wasn't the good reviews that brought me in. It was the very few bad ones. Ruben's chuckling because he knows what I'm talking about. It's the very few bad ones that you have where you then respond with points of fact in a chronological timeline of what actually happened, and you show them that their concern is completely irrational, okay? Confidence is key, guys. Experience and confidence. There are no two bigger confidence builders, okay, than experience. And that's not exactly what I meant to say. Experience and confidence are those two things. There are no two things that will help you understand that you deserve that place at the table more than experience and confidence, okay? Because it's just real life. It's hands-on. And as a human being, it builds confidence and it builds steam. You also have to operate with as much confidence as the next guy, okay? What I mean by that is we talked earlier in this show, and I'm kind of bringing it back now. I'm bringing it full circle to remind you that that person, that competitor, has no more right to be at the table than you do, okay? They breathe the same air. They bleed the same blood. They do the same things on a daily basis. You're just going to do them better. You're going to execute better. That's why you're going to deserve that spot at the table more than them. But you must understand, when you're entering the marketplace as a brand new guy, a new business, you have just as much right to be there as them. And where you may be intimidated by the seasoned pro, what you may not know, and what I didn't know, is that seasoned pro was intimidated by me and will be intimidated by you. Because if they're tenacious, if they're good at what they do, their worry is that there might be somebody just like them who just got their license to do business. Somebody like them who's now younger and full of Red Bull. Somebody like them who's got more technological knowledge because they're fresh out of schooling. They might be with a little bit more recent knowledge, more recent certifications, more technical prowess on that particular field that they're working in. That guy just as worried about you as you are of him. Your mom ever told you, don't go near that bee, honey. He'll leave you alone if you leave him alone, because that motherfucking bee is twice as scared of you as you are of him. That's life, guys. Fear of the unknown. You don't know what that guy's capable of, okay? You just know he's capable. He doesn't know what you're capable of. You just told him you're capable. That's why you deserve to be there, because that guy, I promise you, is just as worried about you as you are of him. And for those of you who are getting started, secure the deal, okay? Secure the deal. If you're taking notes, write that down. Secure the deal. Don't try to hit a home run, okay? What do I mean? Don't worry. Big Luke's going to explain. You're a brand new business. You're the new kid on the block, Okay, you're going in, let's say you're a landscaper, all right? And you've watched two of your competitors visit this old lady. She called two competitors and you. She's doing the traditional, I'm a Karen, I'm gonna get 3 quotes, I'm gonna pick whoever's the cheapest and has the prettiest truck, okay? So that's where the aesthetic comes in that we spoke about. You roll up at her house, got a nice looking truck, it's freshly cleaned, you're lettered up, you're looking good. You walk up the walk, you got the khakis pressed, you got the belt on, you got everything looking tight with the fresh shave and the fresh cut, right? And you speak well and you exude confidence, okay? That woman is more apt to buy from you than the next guy simply on the fact that your aesthetic is better. However, because of that fact, you may build an instant rapport. The salesman in you might say, oh my Lord, this lady loves me. She's all but told me she's going to do business with me. Now, I was going to quote her $3,500 for the season, but shit, I see the fact that she's got a Lexus lease. I see the fact that her husband has passed away and she's got some trust money. Shit, I see the 401k statement sitting right there on the counter with 7 digits in it. I'm going to let her know that's going to be $6,500. Wrong. Okay, 2 reasons. 1, moral high ground. Don't charge somebody more just because you can. You will go out of business, okay? But more importantly, guys, when you're looking to secure the bag, when you're looking to secure your place at the table, when you're just entering the marketplace, humble yourself. Be that guy or girl that's willing to work for not peanuts, but maybe cashews, maybe macadamia nuts, okay? Maybe a nice nut assortment, like you get in that cool little Planters can around the holidays, Ruben. You know the one I'm talking about?
I do.
The one that's got those one nuts in it that kind of have that weird, like, pasty shell on them. Yeah, I don't really like those. Let's stick with cashews. Be willing to work for cashews. Everybody loves cashews. My point is this, guys. If you're going to enter the marketplace, you need to enter strong. You need to give these people many reasons to give you rave reviews. You need to give them reasons to have you back, okay? So if you think you can get 10 grand out of Miss Rosa Smith, do it. But don't do it all at once, okay? If you know you've got a whale, okay? If you know you've got a cash cow there that just likes you, guys, some of these people just want to have somebody else in their life, okay? I can't tell you how many jobs I did as a handyman where single housewives who either got cheated on and left, husbands were away in the military, or husbands were dead, or they simply were just single, okay, would just continue to pay me to stay around, paint the fence. Looks like it was just painted last year. Paint the fence. Yes, ma'am. Okay? Because they want the company. And you'll find that in business as well. But aside from all that, guys, it's incredibly important that you humble yourself and you understand that you have a consistent model. You work for a price that is a value. You're still profitable. You're not giving anything away. Nobody works for free, and you shouldn't either. Matter of fact, if you're taking notes, write that down. Nobody should work for free, and you shouldn't either. I had a friend of mine just recently, he opened a car dealership. This is a guy that was a bank rep, okay? And he had visions of possibly taking over his father's dealership, okay? And I talked to him and I told him he should. And I helped instill the confidence. I'm not the reason he did it, but he made it very clear to me that the information I was giving him is kind of what helped him pull the final trigger, okay? So he reaches out to me from time to time, and he is a friend. And we have a group text with a couple car dealers, and we go back and forth. And just recently, he had a customer that solicited him, if you will, meaning found his car online, asked to purchase it, wanted to have it transported to his home state. Bought the car, wired him the money. The car got there, and the guy bitched about scratches. He bitched about a little bend in the molding. He bitched about things that were clearly there in the pictures, but the guy just got buyer's remorse once the car got there. So my friend refunded his money, paid to have it shipped back. That's called working for free. And we don't do those. Listen, man, you're not happy with the car? I don't know what to tell you. You saw the pictures. You solicited me. I didn't come to fucking Utah with a trailer and say, hey, man, Luke here, you should buy this car. Come on, man, please. No, you sought me out. You bought my automobile. You made a mistake? That's on you, bro. Okay? Now, if you're feeling like you got a feather up your ass and you want to be the hero, then refund the guy his money. But don't also pay to have it shipped back. If you didn't do it, if it ain't your fault, if you are not wrong, if you did not do anything with malice, if it's simply this guy had buyer's remorse, changed his mind, or even more so, he fucked up, Let him pay for it. No one's going to expect you to pay for their misgivings, okay? But as a business owner, sometimes we're so worried about those positive reviews. We're so worried about making sure we get that repeat and referral business that we tend to bend over not only backwards, but so far we fall back and break, okay? Don't do that to yourself. The marketplace is fierce. It will be difficult enough for you to make your entrance and become profitable. There's no reason that you should be giving anything away, okay? Write that the fuck down. There's no reason you should be giving anything away. But what you do need to be doing is thinking long term, okay? That lady that you know will pay the money, give her the deal. Give her the best deal. Knock her socks off and then do the job with excellence. Show her that you're the man, that she made the right decision, okay? And then when you finish up and she gets done telling you how good of a job you did and she goes to tip you the $100, you say, you know what, Rosa? You keep that $100, please. I did this because I wanted to, and that's how we do business. You know how you can tip me? You look at my menu of other services that we offer, and if you think there's anything that we can do for you on that list, just hire me instead of one of my competitors. Matter of fact, I saw that your gutters were starting to hang off, and they don't look like they're doing the best job based on the water stains I see running down the side of your house. Did you know that we do seamless gutters? Matter of fact, keep the $100, and would you mind if I gave you a free quote? Okay? Work Rosa for every penny that she's got, but assign value to it. Make sure she's getting her money's worth. Because as long as she's getting her money's worth, you can, with a good moral conscience, take every last penny that she's willing to give. That's doing it the right way. And last of all, my friends, I leave you with this. Every once in a while you hear me swear. I am Mr. No Filter. I am Mr. Forthcoming and Candid. Okay? You should be too, as it pertains to business in your own mind. Do I mean that you should walk onto a job site and say, hey, motherfuckers, what's up? No, I said in your own mind. You need a don't give a fuck attitude, okay? What do I mean by that? Do I mean that you should just walk on the job site with your pants sagging and, looking like shit, hungover, beer can in your cup holder? Obviously not. I'm talking about as it pertains to hearing the word no and selling your services or your product to other people. Guys, because you're gonna run into no. Get real friendly and real familiar with the word no. I love the word no. Do you wanna know why I love the word no? Because there's only so many no's before you get to a yes. And that's a fact. And psychology has proven that. As a matter of fact, a quick little plug for a guy that I really appreciate. Has no idea who I am, probably. He will one day, Ruben, won't he?
Absolutely.
Chris Voss. Chris Voss is the owner or CEO, maybe, of a company called the Black Swan Group. He was the number one hostage, he was the lead hostage negotiator for counterterrorism in the United States for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. For those of you who don't know your acronyms, that's the FBI, okay? Chris Voss wrote a book called Never Split the Difference, okay? And I'm gonna tell you what, you read that book, you're going to learn a few things about selling, but none more important than this. There are a calculated amount of no's before a yes. That's why hostage negotiators behave the way they do. That's how they're trained, guys. It is verifiable scientific knowledge of the human psyche that says that there are only so many no's until you get to a yes, okay? So, persistence, okay? Confidence. You continue to work your customer. You don't give a fuck, okay? So, again, let's make this very clear. This is not a cavalier, screw the world, I don't give a shit. On the contrary, you give the most shits, okay? Which is why you don't give a fuck when somebody comes at you with a no. When somebody comes at you with a, hey man, you guys were supposed to hang my gutters, but one of your guys ripped the corner molding off my vinyl siding. I don't give a fuck in my head. Out here, no problem, Mr. Jones. I understand why you're frustrated. That shouldn't have happened. We are human beings. We do make errors. I'm happy to fix it for you. I'm headed over that way to handle it now. I will be stopping at Dunkin' Donuts. Would you like a coffee while I'm on the way? I'll grab one for you. Well, no, you guys are just a bunch of assholes. Just get over here and get it done. Mr. Jones, that's no problem, sir. I'd ask you to refrain from calling me an asshole, if you please. But if you don't, that's okay too. I'm on the way. Just wanted to know if you needed a coffee, right? No, you prick, but get over here. No problem, Mr. Jones, I got you. Because the whole time in your head, instead of out here going, prick, you know what, Mr. Jones, why don't you go take a shit in your hat? Why don't you fix it yourself? I did the job that I got paid to do. Fuck that. It's probably your fault anyways. Okay, no, because inside, I don't give a fuck. Whatever, man. Sure, Mr. Jones, berate me, call me names, whatever you want to do. Want to know what? Your check cashed. I win, so I don't give a fuck, okay? Then you go to sell a job. You knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. How you doing? I'm Steve with Steve's Handyman Service. I noticed that your eave in front of your door is hanging down a little bit. I see that 4x4 there is rotted. It's going to fall. Probably not going to be good if one of your kids comes outside for the school bus, decides to kick their shoes off, and then gets crushed by your eave. How's about I take care of that for you? No, I'm good. Not interested. See, I knew you weren't going to be interested. That's why I came up here. Because I can tell, because it hasn't been fixed, that you don't understand just quite how dangerous it is. Mrs. Jones, let me ask you a question. Is it okay if I just give it a swift kick down at the bottom, just very lightly? No. Well, Mrs. Jones, I think you and I both know the reason you just said no to me doing that is because you know full well it'll come down. Now, were you aware of the fact that if that comes down on me while I'm here trying to sell you my services, I can actually sue you for $1 million in damages? Are you aware of that? What? Yes, see, let me explain something to you about liability. Even though you haven't invited me to your property, there is still a general understanding that solicitation happens, which means that people can come to your door, like Girl Scouts trying to sell you cookies, like vacuum cleaner salesmen trying to sell you the newest Kirby, or like myself here, simply offering a fair and reasonable price to fix this very bad financial dilemma that you have hanging from the front of your house. No, I told you I'm not interested. See, Mrs. Jones, I hear that all day, every day. Unfortunately, several days later, that's usually followed by a phone call. And that phone call is, are you the guy that left his card in my door the other day? Are you the guy that was up here trying to sell me fixing my eave? Well, yes, I am. Why? Well, because the son of a bitch just came down and it just missed my little baby and it's hanging there right now and it looks like it's going to come down and it's going to go through my front window. Can you please get over here and take care of it? See, Mrs. Jones, that's the next phone call. I'm not here trying to take money out of your pocket. I'm here trying to save you that phone call. Good, I like it. You're a great salesman, but no, I'm not interested. Okay, no problem. I understand. Most people aren't interested until the bad stuff happens. And see, here's the thing, is I was going to do it for like $50. And it's really too bad because I don't know anybody else that's going to do it for that much. And I don't even think you can go and you can get the material for that price. But, you know, I understand you're not interested. Let me just go ahead and get out of here. Then all of a sudden the voice from the living room comes out. $50? Yes, Roger. This guy's just said, well, no, hang on a second. He's going to fix the eave for $50? Yes, sir. Absolutely. I'm not going to charge you any more than $50 worth of labor to take care of that. And you can later explain to them that there's a small service fee and there's a material charge and so on and so forth, the same way every other service call like that works. But guys, it's vastly important that you understand that your inner thought process needs to be, I don't give a fuck, when it comes to hearing the word no in the sales process and it comes to hearing adversity, right? It's going to happen. It's going to come. Shots will be fired. It's going to be up to you whether you retaliate and you fire back and you lose face, or you calmly allow it to flow. Now, guys, I'm not perfect. It's funny we're talking about this because just today, in one of my car dealerships, we had a customer come in. She bought a car. She had a couple problems. My mechanic did miss one or two things in the get-ready process, okay? So she called and she complained. She had a light bulb out and she had a slight growling noise coming from one of her wheel bearings, okay? Our response was, of course, and always is, no problem, terribly sorry for the inconvenience. Bring it right in and we'll get it handled. So we did. And we handled it, and off she went. Then several weeks later, she had another small problem arise. It was a leak coming from a hose clamp in the cooling system, okay? Now, mind you, that wasn't there when she bought the car. It wasn't there when we went through the car to get it ready for her, nor was it there the entire time she'd owned it up until the point where we fixed the wheel bearing, which was several thousand miles. It reared its head very recently. So she calls, pitching a bitch fit. You guys sold me a piece of shit. There's all this stuff wrong with it. 135,000 mile car that'd been on the road for 12 years, okay? Shit's going to break. It's rubber, plastic, and metal. So we invite her back in. No problem. We'll take care of it. Mind you, we're outside the warranty period now. We don't have to do this. This is what's called customer goodwill. You do it because it costs you 30 cents for a hose clamp and 50 bucks for your mechanic's time. But for $50.30, it's well worth having the positive vibe on the street where the customer says, yeah, you know what? It wasn't a perfect experience, but they made everything right. Okay? Because that customer's not worried about going back to their warranty paperwork and saying, well, I'm 3,200 miles outside of warranty. They're worried about the fact that they just bought a car and it should be right. So she brought it in, we fixed the hose clamp, okay? She then says that she wants to talk to me. So I go down there. Hey, how you doing, ma'am? Nice to meet you. I'm like, I know who you are. Super. What can I do for you? You guys sold me a piece of shit and you took advantage of me. And I just really wanted to let you know that that's how I feel. In my head, I'm going, I don't give a fuck. I understand, ma'am. I suppose I could understand why you feel that way. You're having some issues with the vehicle and you're frustrated. But I find it difficult to get from we sold you a piece of shit to we're taking advantage of you when every time you call with an issue, we simply offer to fix it in a very expeditious fashion. Well, don't you guys go through these cars? Yes, ma'am, we do. We have a 60-point quality check. Okay, and well, these were like this when I left with it. I said, well, ma'am, the wheel bearing was like that, apparently. Light noise, remember light noise, even on your paperwork, you wrote light noise. So apparently my mechanic missed it, okay? He is a human being, he does err. But my response was not to go shit in your hat. My response was bring it right in and we'll take care of it. Yeah, okay, well, it should have been taken care of in the first place. Ma'am, I don't disagree with you, but what's done is done. And when somebody makes a mistake, I can either mitigate the damage and help the customer, or I can tell you where to put it and not fix it. I'm choosing to do the first one, which is what is the nicest thing I can do for you as my customer. I can fix it. What else can I do for you? What would make you feel happier? I guess acknowledge the fact that you try to take advantage of women. Guys, you can't make this stuff up, okay? There's people like this out there. So I said, you want me to look at you and acknowledge that I take advantage of women. This is the man at 285 pounds whose petite little wife runs his household. Okay, my kids are more scared of their mother than they are of me, excuse me. So my I don't give a fuck meter is getting in the red zone now, right? Because she's assaulted me verbally and personally. I respect women to the utmost. I love my wife to death, okay? I open doors for ladies. I let ladies go first. All the classic chivalry. You're looking at it right here, okay? But I take a deep breath and I say, ma'am, here's the deal. You feel a certain way. You're entitled to feel that way. But I'm not going to agree to say something that's false. Because as it says in our mission statement, and as I say to every customer, we operate with integrity and honesty. So if I sat here and I said to you that I acknowledge that I take advantage of women, I would be lying to you, and I'm simply not willing to do that. She goes, yeah, well, you're a fucking piece of shit. Can't make that up either. I said, I'm sorry? You're, and the finger in the face, about this close. You're a fucking piece of shit. I said, So I walked my cute little ass out into my shop. And I asked my mechanic where he was at in the process. And he goes, oh, I just pulled it in. I said, okay, is it leaking? He goes, no, it's really not. He goes, there's not even a seepage. I'm not really sure what she's talking about. I'm gonna have to put it up in the air and clean it all down and pressure test it. Make sure. I said, there's not an active leak. There's not a drip in our parking lot. No. The reservoir's topped off, everything's good. It's not dripping in here? No. There's nothing wrong with the car, as you can see, unless you induce pressure into the system. Yeah, good. Pull it out. Huh? Get it out. Yes, sir. Pulls the car out, hands me the keys. I walk up to the customer and I say, hey, ma'am, here's your keys to your piece of shit. Now get off my property. Now, for those of you out there, you're thinking to yourself, oh, man, what a flex. Big Luke got her, okay, and to an extent I did, and it felt good in the moment, okay? But afterwards, I realized that I did not stick with my own creed. I did not do what I tell you to do. I did not practice what I preach, okay? So I've promised you guys from day one that I'm going to be authentic. So as I sit here and I preach to you and I educate you and I give you the path to walk, it's just as important that you receive the good and the bad. In the interest of authenticity, it's just as important that I share with you times like today when I didn't stick to my own advice. Otherwise, I've got no credibility with you. Otherwise, everything I say is bullshit. It's null and void. Unless I can also come to you and let you know the days that I've stepped outside of pocket, the days where I've not stuck to my own script. We're human beings, guys. That's the point of Man of the Free. Freedom of mind, money, and media. And you can't have freedom of mind and freedom of money without honesty. Sometimes honesty is brutal. And it's humbling for me to sit here as your educator, as your mentor, as your host of Man of the Free, and say, today, she got to me. I got out of line, okay? But I did, and she did, and we are where we are. Now, we did everything we needed to do with that car. We adhered within the confines of the law, not only to the utmost degree, we fixed the car 3,000 miles outside of warranty, okay? The point in doing what I did was exactly this. When that woman contacts the DMV, because she probably will, and says, these people this and these people that, the inspector's gonna say, what's wrong with the car? She's gonna say, I've got a coolant leak. The DMV's inspector's gonna say, well, ma'am, if you look at general business law, and I won't get into it, but he'll tell her to address the portion of the law that deals directly with this, and he'll say, as you can see, under where it says items not covered, cooling system and maintenance components is not on there. So as the DMV, it is not within our purview to pursue this. You're more than welcome to talk to the Better Business Bureau, the Attorney General, Channel 9 News. But as far as the law is concerned, not only have they done what they need to do, but they've stepped way above and beyond and helped you. Quite honestly, if I was you, based on some of the things I've seen, I would consider yourself lucky that you got fixed what you got fixed, because you are well outside of warranty. And then the DMV inspector is going to call me. He's going to share with me what happened. And then I'm going to call the customer. And I'm going to say, so, I see that you were educated by the Department of Motor Vehicles that we've done right by you and we've done everything that we are required to by law. Yeah, he told me. Good. I'd love to fix your car for you. When would you like to bring it in? Oh, fuck you, you're a piece of shit. Okay, have a nice day. And then I'm done with it, okay? But I will make that effort. I will make that second round, because I will always be the better man. I will be the one that is humble to a fault. I will be the one that always concedes. I'll be the one that always tries to go above and beyond for the customer. And I will always have my place at the table. And so will you, if you follow this advice. I thank you for your time, my listeners. I thank you for your subscriptions. And I encourage you guys, please, if you find value here, share this, okay? Like it if you like it. If you don't, give us a thumbs down and tell you what you think we could do better, okay? If you are new, if you like what you heard, if you want to be healthy, you want to have freedom of mind, freedom of money, freedom of media, if you like the general idea of taking the average Joe and elevating him to a higher level of success and freedom, then subscribe to this channel, because, my friend, that's what we are in a passionate pursuit of doing, and we ain't stopping anytime soon, okay? So like, subscribe, and please, the comments below are our room for discourse, and I answer them. Look at all my videos. I respond to every question, okay? And there's been times we've even done episodes at the request of the comments section, okay? So thank you for your time. I hope you found some value in this episode. Stay humble, stay hungry, stay focused, and stay with your seat at the table. But most importantly, stay free.